Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned in to NB12, broadcasting from Cable 12 studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, a teen is shot dead trying to defend his little brother. Police investigating a fatal helicopter crash in Abaco. Debate on the gambling bill continues in the House of Assembly. 2 Catholic schools prepare to close their doors, plus what some are thankful for today. We've got those stories and so much more coming up. I'm Paige McCartney, and NB12 starts right now. Welcome once again to NB12. A teenage boy became the nation's most recent murder victim this morning after he confronted a man who allegedly robbed his little brother as he was headed to school. Our Jasmine Bonamy was at the scene this morning and she filed this report.
It was through this very corner that police say a violent incident unfolded this morning that left a teenage boy watching his older brother die in his very arms. Shocked residents of Hawthorne Avenue gathered outside their homes this morning following the shooting that took place around 9:30. Head of the Central Detective Unit Superintendent Paul Rowe told reporters that the shooting stemmed from an incident involving the victim's 14-year-old brother, a T.A. Thompson Junior High student who reportedly was robbed by the same man who ended up fatally shooting his older brother. The victim was identified as 17-year-old Jamal Gardner, a student at C.C. Sweeting Senior High School and a resident of Hospital Lane who often stayed with his aunt who lived in the Rock Crusher area. Roll explains how the deadly events unfolded.
When he was accosted by a male who robbed him of a pair of shades and cash. Upon arrival at school, he reported the incident and left and returned home. Upon arrival home, he informed his brother of what had happened, and he and his brother went in the area here at Hawthorne Road in search of the person who had robbed his brother.
Roll says when Gardner and his brother caught up with the alleged armed robber at Fox Court, there was an argument that ended with the suspect shooting Gardner in the chest with a shotgun. Roll says the teen collapsed a short distance away on Hawthorne Avenue. The high school students' distraught family members were at the scene this morning, overcome with emotion as they were consoled by officers. Assistant Superintendent Philip Hinsey, who is second in charge in the Southern Division, says the early morning violence is not common in the area.
It is unfortunate of this incident this morning. It is unique to this area. This is a very peaceful area.
Now, as officers were processing the scene on Hawthorne Avenue just before 10 a.m., our news team heard 3 gunshots, which sent officers racing towards the sound. Less than a mile away, officers swarmed the Rock Crusher area where they searched this early model green Suzuki Swift. NB12 understands that the shots were fired while police were searching for the murder suspect. It's unclear who actually fired the shots. This afternoon, Minister of Education Jerome Fitzgerald released a statement on the matter, expressing sadness over Gardner's death. Fitzgerald said the teen was in the work-based program, so he was not attending classes today. A special assembly was also held at the school this morning where police and grief counselors addressed students.
Unfortunately for this young man, he didn't seek police help first, tried to take this matter into his own hand. And we appeal to members of the public, if you're a victim of crime, call your local police. And we'll be more than happy to come and help. That's why we're here.
Meantime, police arrested at least 2 men from the Rock Crusher area this afternoon, but at last report, we're still searching for the alleged shooter. Anyone with information in the case is asked to contact police at 911 or 919 or CDU at 502-9991. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
In other news, police are confirming that an American man is dead after a helicopter crashed this afternoon on Abaco, where the Bakers Bay Luxury Resort and homes are located. According to an eyewitness who spoke with NB12 but wishes to remain anonymous, the 5 people on board chartered the chopper from New Providence and were en route to Bakers Bay when they lost control. The eyewitness tells us he saw the helicopter spin in the air before hitting the ground outside the Bakers Bay Marina Village. A rudder was lost and one of the people on board was thrown from the helicopter cabin upon impact. The other passengers had to be pulled from the wreckage. NB12 understands the victims were the family and friends of the Soffer family that owns the Fontainebleau Hotel in Florida. We understand that one person died, one was airlifted to Nassau for treatment, and the other 3 were transported to Miami. We're told there were 2 women and 3 men on board. And according to NB12 source, Bakers Bay was busy with activity when the incident happened. He told us there were about 180 people on the property visiting for Thanksgiving. We're told that some employees and guests at the resort helped with the crash. We were able to get confirmation from police at the scene that there were doctors and nurses that were guests at the resort and were on hand to help. We'll have more details on this story, of course, in tomorrow's Nassau Guardian. Well, there's no question the regularization of web shops would benefit our economy. However, Gaming Board Chairman Dr. Andre Rollins says the economic impact is comparatively smaller than casinos. For that reason, he's suggesting that government tax web shops more than casinos. Vonique Toot reports.
If most Bahamians vote yes in next year's gambling referendum, Gaming Board Chairman Dr. Andre Rollins is proposing that government tax web shops at a higher rate than hotel-based casinos. During his contribution to the debate, Rollins noted that web shops contribute far less to our economy than those casinos.
Hotel-based casinos, or HBCs, collectively contribute far more to the growth of our GDP via tourism spend, job creation, wages, utilities, and national insurance contributions than numbers operators do. And the fact that gambling in the domestic sector, unlike the hotel sector, does not contribute to new money entering the Bahamian economy.
He also pointed out that the regularization of web shops would impose additional responsibilities and costs on government, like treating the negative consequences of gaming on its citizens and increasing manpower and other resources at the Gaming Board to effectively regulate those businesses. Prime Minister Perry Christie previously said that web shops could produce as much as $40 million in tax revenue each year. Here's what casinos pay.
The Gaming Board assigns a tax rate of 25% for the casino's first $10 million in annual winnings, a 20% tax rate for the casino's first $10 million to $16 million in winnings, a 10% rate for the casino's first $16 to $20 million, and a 5% tax rate on every dollar of winnings above and beyond $20 million.
Rollins added that a casino is also taxed according to the size of its floor space. That additional basic tax, he says, can range from $50,000 to $200,000 a year. The Gaming Board Chairman also suggested an age restriction on those allowed to enter web shops and gamble in them.
It must be recognized that in gaming it is a fallacy, and I repeat, it must be recognized that in gaming it is a fallacy that everybody wins. And players need to have reached an age where it is reasonable to expect that they have gained the maturity to understand the realities of gambling and the inherent risks and dangers therein. There must also be severe penalties put in place that deal harshly with irresponsible parents who leave their children unattended outside of web shops.
However, Rollins said perhaps the most important element of regularizing this industry is the elimination of the potential for corruption in the form of attempted extortion of web shop operators by politicians or law enforcement officials seeking payoffs in exchange for protection. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonique Toot.
Well, so many web shops have popped up around the country in recent years that they're even located near schools and places of worship. It's a concern raised by Central Grand Bahama Member of Parliament Nico Grant on Wednesday. But Deputy Prime Minister Philip Rafe Davis said if the referendum question passes, zoning could be implemented to address this concern.
The member from South Central Eleuthera was talking about how he was he was right next to he was in by the Chief Justice's office. He was by his office, and you just look out the window and what you see, cafes all around. We could have zoning. I mean, I could tell you, you go to church right across the street from the churches, you're seeing these cafes. And so we're able to zone and say, look, these are the areas in which you have to operate. We can't do it now.
Meantime, F&M Deputy Leader Loretta Butler Turner reminded parliamentarians that the matter at hand isn't which side supports gambling and which side doesn't, but rather proposed amendments that would facilitate the upcoming referendum. She accused the government of setting a date before ensuring the necessary framework was in place. She also called the bill ill-crafted, ill-advised, and poorly thought out.
More urgently, the fundamental facilitating processes and the possible types of laws to begin to consider these matters related to gambling are deeply flawed or non-existent. And this government continues to put the cart before the hobby or the racehorse. This entire disaster is being led by none other than the Right Honorable Member for Centreville and our Prime Minister.
The Long Island MP also questioned how the governing party's chairman, Bradley Roberts, could promote the Vote Yes campaign on his Facebook page when the government professes to have no horse in the race.
The government said that it would remain neutral. The government said that it would remain neutral on the referendum. But now, the chairman of the PLP is telling the Bahamian people to vote yes to legalize gambling. Is this the government's latest position? And curiously, of all people, why is the chairman urging a yes vote? Is he doing so for a particular reason?